Hey, welcome to Fans of the Forge.
Yeah, that's right.
Is this a thing that we do? It's been a while.
Welcome to our new show, Fans of the Forge.
I'm Chris. We are welcoming back my wife, Theresa.
Yay.
I'm back.
And of course, we have
It's Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, that's me.
Right there.
Yep.
And first things first, before we get into
Technical difficulties.
Too much here, we have to start off with Theresa. What you drinking?
I'm drinking Shipyard Summer Ale with lobster feet.
Yeah, the lobster with the beer, and it goes well with feet.
All that good
Flip
stuff.
flops
Yep.
and umbrellas.
I am drinking Knight's Executioner by Armada Brewing. It is a stout with coffee, lactose, and maple syrup. Tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Is it made in CT?
Is Armada made in CT? Oh, it shows Connecticut on there.
How about that?
Look at that.
Again, I am drinking Victory Golden Monkey Belgian Triple. Delicious.
9.5%.
9.5% with added spice. This thing is beautiful. If you ever see it on tap, get it.
It's
Absolutely.
good. It's very good
stuff.
Cool. Well, now we know
Beautiful.
what we're drinking. Let's get into some of the other stuff. So, first things first. It's
We already
been
did
a
the
while.
first thing.
Yeah.
First.
How you been?
Second things first.
Second thing second.
Yeah. This thing second.
None of it matters. So, we are far behind on our Forge and Fire wrap-ups. And part of the reasoning behind that is because, frankly, we all got burnt out on taking notes while trying to watch a TV show.
It's hard to do.
It's a pain in the ass, and it took away from the enjoyment of the show.
To be fair, I wasn't watching TV.
Theresa wasn't
I was
watching
away.
TV. I wasn't watching Forge and Fire most of the time when Theresa was away, except for the one or two episodes that you and I did.
Now we're catching up,
We're catching up, but
and we just want to watch it.
we don't want to take the notes anymore. We took a little bit of notes. We got a little bit to talk about, but moving forward, the Forge and Fire wrap-ups, they just ain't going to be as in-depth and as much notes that we had before. It's just going to be hitting some of the key points, and that's it.
If you want us to go in depth on some stuff, like an episode, like give us some money.
Yeah, that works.
We'll do it. We'll do a special episode just
Sure.
for you.
Sure.
The price is right.
But in the meantime, this is a hobby, and we want to enjoy ourselves. So the amount of notes.
That's why we have beer.
That's why we have beer and less notes.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with Season 6, Episode 25, The Falchion. And on that episode, we had Wayne Milligan, Mark Hemley, Aaron Maleza, and Jesse Hemphill competing. And there's a couple things that they had to do. They started off, they had 6 Damascus patterns they had to choose from. And the dude with the most experience, Jesse, chose the most complicated pattern comparatively, and then he ended up getting booted first because he didn't quite make the requirements for what
Jesse,
he picked.
he did solid work,
You did.
but just couldn't get the pattern right.
Yeah, it
And
was a
did
tough
he have
one.
ladder pattern in comparison to, like, one was twist,
He
one
had-
was raindrop,
Didn't he have...
or did he do the shark's tooth?
Shark's Tooth.
Shark's tooth.
Yeah, Shark's Tooth. And it didn't quite come out that
And
way.
it's one of those ones that you can't really see it until it's done, and then he couldn't do it again. Didn't have time.
At that point, yeah, there's nothing else he can do. So I follow that guy on Instagram. He makes some good work. But, yeah, he got the boot first. And then moving forward, there was a point where they showed Aaron while making his.
Are you gonna
I
say
wrote
it?
this note, and I'm like, what am I reading? And it says, holy flux usage, Batman Lumberjack.
He was wearing a plaid shirt, and he said something to the effect of, "I didn't pay for the flux, so I'm going to use it."
Oh, yeah.
And so he just poured that flux on. And then moving on to round 3, it was Wayne versus Mark for the final round. And they had to make the Falchion. And Will Willis says, we're kicking it up a notch, and we're only giving them 4 days for a final round. All season, they've been giving them 4 days.
Episode 25, you've been doing it all season.
Maybe at the time that he was talking to them, hadn't seen any from the season yet. So to them, it was kicking it up.
Well,
a
he's
notch.
kind of been saying that for a lot of episodes, like, oh.
Well, we know that because we're watching every episode.
No, but he
the
says
people
that
are
to
there,
them, too. He's like, hey, so we're going to kick things up a little bit. But, it's a little, this was kind of.
It's just
It was kind of up a little more. He upped the volume on that statement.
Yeah, it was. He just really pushed it. So during the final build, Wayne, we have Pirate Guy, has enough time to write a song while he's supposed to be forging.
Yeah.
But in the end, they both show up back into the forge with some incredible outfits.
Yeah. I gotta say.
Wayne came with, we believe that it was a crushed velvet.
That's
or
what it looked
whatever
like
that
at
type
first,
of
and then I changed my
jacket.
mind.
We
I
don't know.
think it's
It
crushed
looked like a
velvet.
velvety jacket.
Yeah.
Blue.
Interesting.
And then Mark showed up with a tux tank top wife beater that he actually got married in.
Yeah. And then Dave was like, hey, what's up with your shirt?
Yeah, what was his response?
He's like, I got married in this shirt.
That's where that came from. Okay. Yeah.
I would have been like, why, you want one?
So anyway, they did their testing, and Wayne ended up winning the episode.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you, Wayne. We can now move on to another Forge and Fire wrap-up, because we're doing 2 Forge and Fire wrap-ups and 2 Knife or Death wrap-ups.
Whoa.
What? Knife or Death's back.
Hey.
Yep. So for Napoleon Saber, I have the names of the
All right,
guys
so
there.
we have Seth Bories, John Morpheus, Sean Carr, and Stephen Hunter. How about
His last name's Morpheus?
Well, Morpheus is kind of how it, but it was spelled Morpheus.
Morpheus.
In both captions.
Did he take the red pill?
Awesome last name.
So, this episode was kind of interesting. So, this is where they had to harvest steel from a ladder and make ladder pattern Damascus.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the experience level for all of the smiths was no more than 5 years or so, I'd say. So it was going to be pretty interesting. So there was some, 15 and 20 pieces on the side, and then they had, like, what was it?
1084.
1084 for, like, rungs or whatever. And yeah, so...
Question: do ladders always have just like random pieces of metal on the side, or was
course
that
not.
No,
manufactured? Okay,
I think they actually said they have 15 and 20 accents on
Yes,
the side
accents,
of the ladder.
yeah. No.
I know I like to accessorize my ladders.
As you should. So, ideally, they'd have to flatten the 1084 down, cut it up, and then, do the Damascus, stack it, draw it out. That didn't really happen here. The 15 and 20 was already in these nice little pieces. A lot of them just took some stacks of those, did one sandwich with a 1084 in the middle, and they just tried to pass it off as Damascus, and that wasn't happening. And that didn't work. It didn't really give them Damascus pattern, or didn't fulfill like 2 of the things there.
I mean, at least everybody kind of knew what they had to do when it came to getting the ladder Damascus.
Right, it's like they cut the grooves in it, but you didn't have it folded or anything. There's no layers. There wasn't enough layer count, so you couldn't get a pattern out of it.
Right.
And according to Steve, the toughest part of Damascus is all the layers, but there were no layers in this one, so none of them met parameters. And
also, John ended up being taken out medically, taken out of the show because he was getting a little overheated and couldn't handle the forge.
Yeah. So because none of them met parameters, and it came down, I think was it the last guy that was going up to shows, and like Will was like, you could win $10,000 right here if you meet the parameters, because the other 2 guys didn't. Well, he didn't meet them, so they'll move on to round 2. Sean had a bunch of issues with his handle. He wasn't able to drill through the tang, so he just glued scales on there. He had holes drilled through the scales, so he just put pins just in there because he had the holes there, so he had to fill them.
Yep.
Then he melted epoxy during grinding, coated the whole handle with epoxy. and then a scale popped off during the strength test. It didn't go well. So finally, I think during the final testing, Doug said from the snotter to the trotter.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
doing
there's the
some
pig.
testing.
Yeah,
and-
so Sean ended up getting booted, right? So it
Booted,
came
yeah.
down to Steve versus Seth,
So they all had S names
except for John.
as of round 2. When we were trying to like write these things and like, wait, who is
Yeah.
that again? Is all S names. I kept getting them confused.
There was a Steve, Seth, and
Sean.
a Sean. Yep.
So Napoleon Saber is kind of cool, a little curve to it. And in the final round, Steve's blade broke during the strength test.
And so the note here is that when it broke on the strength test, you just hear me go, "Dadgum." And that's it. And I broke down laughing. And that was also how I identified him when I was writing the notes, like the names here. Like Dadgum, Steve Hunter had Dadgum.
Yeah.
But that was the episode. So Seth ended up winning. And yeah,
Good job.
that episode caused an uproar on the Forge and Fire fan page on Facebook because of how terribly everybody did with the Ladder Damascus. And I kind of understand it, but, you know, I feel like the show has been going in an interesting direction with the smiths that they're choosing for their competition.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the bladesmiths in the bladesmithing community aren't as happy with Forge and Fire as they were when it first started because of that, because they're highlighting these guys that have very few years of experience.
Right.
And
But how big is the pool of very
It's
experienced smiths?
smaller,
And they're
especially
doing, like,
season 6.
20 plus episodes a season now. They
Not
might have
up to-
exhausted that group.
They have, and that's the problem that they've created themselves, and they've been upping the ante on these challenges, but it's not the smiths that are there don't have the experience to really meet some of those challenges they're presenting to them. So
Right.
it's not really fair. But who wants to see the same thing? Here's a block of, W2, go make a knife out of it. You got to do something funny or crazy with it, but they're gonna, I don't know, they're gonna hit some sort of wall, I think.
well, they've already been renewed for at least another season 7.
Yeah.
Doug's been going down to Latin America and shooting Forge and Fire
Yeah.
episodes down there with a whole different crew.
Huh.
And yeah, I mean they'll keep themselves busy
They're
for a
gonna
while at least.
The guys will keep coming on the show. It's not gonna be great quality necessarily, but
Yeah.
some people rise to the occasions. People might, have the experience for what to meet whatever their parameters are, but some guys aren't, and we're seeing that happen.
Yeah. So that's all we're gonna do for Forge and Fire
Yeah.
episodes for tonight. We still are behind. We'll catch up eventually.
Don't worry about it.
We're 2 episodes behind.
Only 2,
Next week will be 3.
but we'll get through it. We'll only have one. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. Knife or Death wrap up. So season 3 has started for Knife or Death.
Yep, I think there's 3 episodes out. I watched 2 of them.
I watched about one of them.
You watched one.
Actually, about 3/4 of one because I missed a few of the guys.
Yeah.
I think I watched half with you guys.
It's in half.
They don't really say in half as much as they
They
did.
didn't. I was really not happy with that. What happened, Bill Goldberg?
Well,
I'm looking at you.
maybe he realized what half is.
What?
And-
You gonna spear me?
Yeah, he's gonna come down here and give you the spear.
Here's your spear. So I did not keep track of the bonus words. I just couldn't.
Oh,
The bonus words are the
listen.
same. They're being
let's
used.
not get too fancy.
Besides in
here.
half, they're all still there, but I couldn't really keep up. And what's different this time is Travis gives little mini lessons in his
really?
bit. So rather than just testing the knife, he'll like give a little explanation about what this knife is and how it's supposed to be shaped and where it comes from. And like, oh, you modified this. Well, this is like this piece that you didn't modify. That's why it's here. And then you like made it beefier for this particular purpose. So that's cool.
Anthropological, yeah.
The first episode was David versus Goliath. And we'll get to that. Casey came in with a broadsword. It was newly purchased and never been used.
Oh, perfect.
So Travis asked him, how long have you had this? And he's like, about as long as you've been holding it.
Wow.
So there's that. Decapitator has corn now. Here's a corn.
Oh.
It's a new addition. And then
Considering they shot season 2 and season 3 back to back, it's kind of funky that they added
have
corn
new
for
stuff?
that,
Slasher. Oh, Slasher. There was tubes and a plastic jug and then a box. And Casey didn't do so great on the tubes, and his sword bent.
Oh.
And so he was disqualified, like game over, right there on the tubes, didn't even get halfway through Slasher.
Maybe get his money back.
Nah, I don't think so. They have pretty... Well, I mean, you're buying it for that reason. I guess maybe... I don't think knife makers really make it, or bladesmiths make big guarantees for something like that.
Well,
Especially if you're using it that way.
I mean, you bought a sword. I mean, you can't use the sword without it bending. That's ridiculous.
Maybe he ordered it
This is ridiculous.
On a tape-coated plastic tube.
Listen, come on, it's a tube. It's not bone.
Jeez.
It's just tape on a tube.
Anyway, next guy was Caleb, 18-year-old, made his own copus using stock removal, but still pretty cool. Started out with timber, or the first one I wrote down was timber. He made it through the first few obstacles okay. He was a Boy Scout, and he actually started doing the notch underneath. When you're trying to, like, chop down a tree, you do the notch underneath.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it too high, and so the board.
Oh, right.
Missed the
So
spot.
it ended up missing it. And then he got all the way to lifeline and got caught on the rope. It's almost done.
It's tough cutting a rope like that. It is.
So then Caitlin comes in with a longsword that she has used in cutting competitions before, and she does like medieval fencing. So that was pretty cool.
I say, what cutting competitions are letting you use a long sword? Usually it's a chopper. If it's
Some backwoods.
So it's not the blade sports.
it's a different
It's a
kind,
different
okay.
thing, yeah.
Joey's Sports.
Joe, okay.
Show Cool's blade sports in the woods. Go to the woods. I got a course set up.
sword.
Yeah.
So she got 2 penalties in Decapitator. For Slasher, she did not cut anything that was plastic. So her longsword didn't work really well on the tubes. It didn't really work well on the jug thing. And she ended up slipping before going. I'm going to come back to that in a second. And then for Timber, they're talking at, how you can hear them talking and the competitors can't hear them talking.
Yeah.
So they're like, let it fall. And they're getting all upset that she's not doing it right. But hey, it went in. And then they're like, oh, great technique.
Nice.
Anyway, she also got caught up on the rope and lifeline. Mark came in with a blade that was made by his friend J.W. Randall. It's a modified chopper.
We met J.W. Randall with Travis Wirtz. at
Say
Blade
what?
Show.
And the modification on this one was, it was like two-hand handle, but the finger grooves were perfect for his 2 hands.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
cool. For Slasher, when he got through the tubes, there's all the sand dust, like clouds. How do you see anything to try to complete this task? How do you even know that you haven't completed the task if you can't see? That's a question of mine. And then he also slipped later on in Ice Pick. Slipping with swords. Safety.
Yeah.
That's not. Don't want to do that.
No.
But they just get right back up and keep going. This is why I don't do blade sports. Also got caught on the rope and
So
lifeline.
that's the reason.
That's the
That's
reason.
the one reason.
It's among the reasons. Aside from the fact I wouldn't be any good at
You
it.
might be good at Joey's blade sports in the woods.
No.
Maybe on solid ground, on grass and stuff.
Grass is slippery too.
Maybe like some broken glass. Because Joey doesn't keep it clean
I
back
bet they're
there.
pretty loose on the rules. You could probably bring like your
Cleats?
archery stuff and come
Yeah.
and get some sharp tips on those arrows and cut your stuff with those. I think that might work.
Bow sports.
Bow sports.
Bow
Let's
sport.
let's set this up. I'm getting kind of amped. You got some room back
So
there.
you mean archery?
We have
Bow sports.
Yes,
Yeah.
bow sports, archery.
Get
You
some
know.
3D targets and then shoot some stuff in a yard. We can do that.
So then the next person was JP. He teaches fire combat, which means that he teaches how to fight against someone with a flaming sword. Didn't know that was a thing.
Okay.
Who needs that skill?
But who wants
these
that
days?
skill?
Who needs that skill? Where is someone coming at you with a flaming object?
Plus, I'm pretty sure when you light swords on fire, it really messes up how they, their structural integrity.
I don't know. Depends on how long they're on fire.
Why are you
Because
like,
if you
this
put,
cool thing?
if you put fuel, it's just gonna burn for a few minutes, and that's it.
Meh. Anyway.
So he brought a two-handed Kopesh, and Slasher. He was slipping in the water beads, so the jug was filled with water beads, and when you bust open the jug, they spill.
Yeah.
Why would you fill it with water beads if this is a thing where you're you're not running with swords, but if you're going to be slipping with a sword, it just
There's some problems here with how they run things over there.
at least on Slasher, I've got problems with Slasher with what is like all the stuff inside these things. And then his blade also bent on timber.
Got it.
Then we get Donovan Phillips. I noted his last name because he holds the record for water bottle slashing in blade sports. 28. He's had that record since 2016.
Like
Really?
in one swing?
In one swing,
Wow.
28 water bottles. And they showed it. Like, they had a clip of him doing it.
That's cool.
Documented.
Crazy.
He brought in a handmade modified chopper. In Decapitator, he got a penalty on the apples. Timber, 3 strikes straight down near the base, so he didn't do any notches. And they're yelling at him, too much power, and yet falls right in. So
Hey.
I'm thinking he knows what he's doing. And especially when they're like, oh, that was some luck. I think he knows what he's
No,
doing.
I mean, this guy is in blade sports. He knows what he's doing.
Was it him?
Yeah.
Okay, it was that guy.
Ah.
Yeah, we've definitely seen this guy at blade sports competitions because he runs the blade sports.
He's got a wicked hat.
Yeah.
He also got stopped by the rope on Lifeline.
Oh.
No one got past the rope. Nobody completed the first part.
Wow, that's some wicked rope.
Yeah. It's tough.
So the people who made it the furthest, the fastest were Donovan and Caleb. So that's why this was called David and Goliath, because you've got Caleb, who's this 18-year-old guy, versus Donovan Phillips.
Look up the Blade Sports International Instagram page and scroll through. You'll find pictures of him. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And when they're talking about Donovan going versus Caleb, Tulam actually says Goliath, Donovan, has the reach over David and doesn't fill in Caleb's name. Like, they just keep moving on with the rest of it.
Is he calling him David the rest of the show? That'd be pretty funny.
No. But they do refer to them as David and Goliath throughout. So they had Gauntlet, where it has an octopus now. Just like an
what?
octopus hanging from these things.
Oh. Weird.
They both get through that. Ballbuster, Caleb missed 2 entirely, and then he got to him by the tiniest bit, but they caught it.
Yep.
And then Donovan had 6 out of 8. Extinguisher, they had 4 of them. 2 of them had water, and 2 of them had powder.
Okay.
So now they not only have to get this little bag of powder, they have to hope that it puts the flame out.
Yeah.
Right.
So neither of them did very well on Extinguisher because, they each got 2 or 3 out of the 4, but then it didn't put the flames out behind them.
Oh, yeah.
Free Fall, Caleb misses 1 entirely and then goes to the wrong spot. And he's like, oh, crap. They get that. Donovan went to the wrong spot twice. So instead of, they go down and then over and then down, he went over and then over. And had to backtrack and then over, and then he did it again.
Oh.
So he missed a couple. Both of them did well on Fire and Ice. Crash Landing, Caleb stood in the path of the sandbag and kind of got hit in the face with it. But he managed it. And then they both did fine on Firestorm. So Caleb had 10 penalties, and Donovan had 8 penalties. And so their times, Caleb had 5 minutes, 42 seconds, and Donovan was 5 minutes, 21 seconds. Therefore, the winner. Unlike history, Goliath came out on top this time.
Ooh.
Well, congratulations to Donovan.
And so he's got
For beating up on this
$2,000.
kid.
Yeah.
Beat up on him.
Beat him down in a competition.
Well, I didn't see any of the other contestants from this episode, but I know this guy, so I like him, and I think he deserves his win.
I like his hat.
He always has a good hat,
Yeah.
and he's always wearing the Spyderco shirt when we see him, and we've seen him at multiple Blade Sports competitions now. Dude seems pretty cool. Anyway, we got another Knife or Death wrap-up to go over real quick. This
Okay.
one is the Military All-Stars episode.
Nice.
Oh, boys, there's lots of notes here. I'm just going to go
come
real
on.
quick
Because I
here.
tried to write more neatly this time instead of my graph paper that nobody else could read but me.
Yeah, that was a little tough. So we had Simon, who's a Marine, and he had a modified, custom-designed cleaver chopper that was made by his uncle, and it weighed 5 pounds. It was a beast. It was a
Damn.
beast. For Trifecta, he had a record time going through there. Decapitator, 3 penalties. Didn't even cut the pineapples at all, really. For Killshot,
Good job.
he checked it. Yep, he got it. He got through the 6 straps and 3 swings. And we move on to Kevin, who is a Marine as well, professional blacksmith, and he had a homemade, modified wakizashi. How did Tulane pronounce it?
Washishashi.
Washizashi, which was interesting. And it was almost 4 pounds. It was another big weapon. Box cutter, he ripped the first box apart. So that was a penalty, I think, right? Because he didn't actually cut through it all the way. He
think
tore it
so.
off of the cord. For Decapitator, it was too low of a swing on the pineapple, and he hit the stand.
So if the pineapples are like being held into a place, he hit the stand instead of any of the pineapples.
Yeah. And then for Killshot, he passed, got through all 6 straps. Then we had Chris, who was a Marine, and he had a custom machete that a buddy made for him. For Killshot, he missed the first one.
So like when he went to go take the swings at the 6 straps, he missed the first strap.
Oh,
man.
that's right.
And so he got like the second and the third one.
And then
And then he was going for the last 3 and he only got the 4th and the 5th one. So it's kind of like, in bowling, the 7-10 split. He had the 1st and the 6th that he had to try and get in one swing.
So he had a split, and he couldn't do it. Anyway, didn't make it to the end. Then we had Alex, who was in the Army. He had a Dadao. The guard on his was a little wonky. It wasn't straight with the blade. It was just off. It was a little weird. And Travis said it was hard to index, but
As he's swinging, he
he's
like
swinging at
punched it and knocked it
he's
over.
swinging at the sugar cane, and he
Yeah.
does 2 chops, and then he hits the thing and just goes breaks it at the base, and he just, oh shit.
And then he goes into the explanation of, I had a hard time indexing. That was my fault.
But anyway, for box cutter, he had a penalty on the first box because he smashed it apart versus cutting it. For decapitator, no one has been successful on the cabbages. They just can't get through them at this point.
Damn cabbages.
They're tough. For thrice, he went out of order in cutting the ice blocks.
Oh,
Got a
you
penalty.
can't do that.
Can't do that.
That's terrible. You
It's the worst that could happen is going out of order on thrice.
do that. You got to go like one. Was it 1?
2, 3.
It's 1, 2, 3.
One,
but
two,
it's-
three.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
stupid.
For
You should
kills,
just like spray paint the numbers on him or something.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Kill shot.
So you're gonna
he got
lose.
them all. He did 2 per swing and managed to get through all of them. Then we move on to Roy from the Army, and he had an Aranyak machete purchased in Thailand and made of a repurposed material, possibly a leaf spring from a truck.
Oh, great.
Actually, it looked pretty cool. Like the way that the metal had been shaped, and it had kind of like these weird grooves going opposite. Like if you're looking at this knife I have here, there were grooves going this way down it, and it just gave it a cool
Why?
look. But otherwise, the edge was like,
I mean, he had it
regular
for 12
edge. It
years
was
and he was using it for
yeah,
stuff.
Oh,
no,
alright.
there's nothing wrong with
They
it.
didn't know what material is made out of.
No, he got it in Thailand
Yes.
while he was on
Maybe
deployment.
recycled bicycle.
Anyway, he made quick work of trifecta. He was very methodical in his strikes. For decapitator, he only hit the tops of the pineapples, knocked the cabbage over, and just stares at it. He just, boom, just stares.
Oh.
And so, I mean, got mad at the
Those
cabbage.
damn cabbages.
They're
Damn
real.
cabbages.
Yeah, I mean, it's pain.
Slaw.
And then for kill shot, he got through all of them, but first he cut through the 3rd and 4th straps,
So like he did the middle 2.
the middle 2.
And then
Then
he went backwards.
and he hit the
The
5th
fifth-
strap, the 2nd strap, and the 1st strap, like with one swing,
Going backhand.
backhanded.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he got the 6th strap on his last swing. And he said, the more you take your time... who said this? Two-Lamb, maybe?
No,
Or Goldberg?
Roy
he
did.
said this.
He said this?
Yeah. The more you take your time and do it right, the faster you get it done.
Oh,
He said that.
that's right.
You were there.
I was
there.
Yeah, that's right. Even Sean was there for that.
Damn, dude.
Anyway, we move on. John
Our boy John.
Nagel, he was from the Army Reserves. He was a Forged in Fire champ for the season 5 episode for the Naval Cutlass. He made his own falcata for the episode. And for Decapitator, he actually got through the cabbages.
Yay!
Hey, look at that.
For
They're not impossible.
No, not impossible. And then for the Kill Shot, he got through all of them, 2, 2, and 2, and moved on. So, almost everybody made it through to the end and was able to put their knives on the stump. So at the end, they had the top 3, and they had to judge who had the fastest times, and it came down to John and Kevin. So, moving into Dead Run, they had Ballbuster, Flying Target. We missed
There's
something
like 4
here.
boards. What?
Yeah, but what was before Ballbuster?
Oh, the one with the 4 boards. I didn't write it down
Yeah,
because they both did
wood
fine.
chop, swing.
Chop the thingies as they spin, and so they both made it through that. That one's easy. Gauntlet. That's what it is. For Ballbuster, John had 3 penalties, while Kevin had 2 penalties. For Flying Target, they had to cut the meat and make it land on the grate to cook
get
it.
grilled.
To get grilled. And John had 2 penalties out of 3, and so did Kevin. For Free Fall, John missed 4 out of 5 of the smaller melons, and Kevin
Lack situational awareness.
he lacked situational awareness, according to Two Lambs.
Because the melon is just falling, like he's just like staring. He just turns. All of a sudden, there's just a melon like.
Yeah,
falling
he
right in
had
front of him.
barely he
He
just
went to the
stepped
wrong
up.
one. That's what they said about Donovan and the other one when they went to the wrong position.
Yep.
Instead of saying, "Oh, they went to the wrong position," they lack situational awareness.
Anyway,
I mean, he went there, but he just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
He hit the watermelon, then he
he
turned.
would get there. He would look up, and then
And the
he would
melon's,
look
like,
down,
already halfway
and then
down.
Yeah, it was already too late by that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, he got some penalties on that, and then they move on to Fire and Ice. And John, it took 4 strikes to get through the big old piece of ice. For Kevin, it only took 3. For Crash Landing, John had 2 penalties, where Kevin had 1 penalty, and the sandbag also kind of hit him in the face and exploded all over him.
Although that one, they had a box that they had to stand in. He couldn't have moved if he wanted to. Like, he had to stand in that spot.
Like Sean mentioned, those things really are moving when they come flying down.
Moving,
at you.
and you have to.
And it's dark, and there's lights behind them, so you can't really see them until they're
and so
right on you.
And I think they want you to
Turn
your body. It alternates. So like one's coming at you, so you could swing. Forehand, then the other
Then
one's
you-
backhand.
yeah.
But the other, I think they just go there with forehand the whole time, but it's coming on the side, so they just kind of just like this.
swing for it the best.
And it hits
they
them in the
can.
face when they cut it.
And then for Firestorm, John had no problems. Kevin ripped the thing instead of cutting it.
so it looked like to us.
Right. And it comes down to the penalties. John had 11 total penalties. Kevin had 10. So it came down to the times. John had a time of 5:51, and Kevin had a time of 6:05. So John Nagel won the episode.
Wow. Good job.
Good job, John. Friend of Jay Nielsen, from what I understand. I believe Jay was wearing his shirt when we interviewed him. Yeah.
You
So that
can't
was it.
remember dates, but you can remember that.
Yes. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And that's our wrap-ups for this week.
Okay.
So now we're going to move on to some of the other stuff that we do, like Tales from Infinite Forge. So, John, you got anything to talk about?
I don't I don't think so. I mean, I helped a buddy of mine who's living with us in our spare bedroom change his brakes on his car. And I had to use some Waterbury force with a big hammer and knock the rotors off. They're trying. I'm like, no, you gotta do it Waterbury style. Just big hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Knock it right off. Yeah, it's good.
Good. What about you? What have you been working on?
Horse bonnets.
Horse bonnets and also...
Hats for horses?
Yes.
Wow.
She's made a bunch of them.
This
They
is
look good.
amazing.
And they go right over the ears and stuff. And
Keeps the flies out,
Yeah.
and they look nice.
Can you make one for my dog?
Yes.
All right.
And what else are you working on? Like a temperature blanket?
Oh, my
thing?
temperature blanket. I make squares. I'm crocheting squares where the middle ring is the low temperature of the day. The middle ring is like the median temperature, and then the outer ring is the high temperature. And I will be making 365 of them and putting them together in a big old blanket.
I don't understand the concept.
It's just
Completely.
like record keeping.
It's like at the end you'll have a record.
Each square is a different day, so I'm keeping track of the
colors
temperatures.
depending on the temperature. So then the color will change throughout the year as it gets towards. The
And
end.
so you'll see, like right now, I'm still kind of working on March as far as making squares.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of like purples, teals in there because it was the 20s and the 30s, and then you have a random warm day that it got up to 60, and so it's like orange.
That's kind of
then-
cool.
It's pretty neat. Can't wait to see the final product.
It's like an almanac on a blanket.
Yes.
There we go.
For me, I worked on a couple things. I had bought some knife tong blanks from Ken's Custom Iron, and basically you get these blanks that are flat, and you have to offset the head, and you have to bend it over to meet the size of the metal you're using for your blades. And I brought 2 sets, so I wanted to make 2 sets of knife tongs here. So I have them kind of almost done. I need to pin them, and then I need to adjust the jaws a little bit to make sure that they tighten down properly to hold the steel.
Right.
And those will be good to go. And then, I don't know if I've talked about some of these ones, but these are, if you follow me on Instagram, these are some of the knives I've been working on in my spare time, just kind of practicing getting shapes down. They're fun, whatever. Eventually, I'll finish them. Eventually, we'll finish our first knives that we started that we haven't really done much with in a while. And the other thing that I did this week was this right here. This here is Straight Razor Challenge Limited Edition Razor Burn Mango Habanero
man.
Hot Sauce, specially made for the contestants.
It's aftershave?
No, it's hot sauce, mango habanero, and it's pretty spicy. I'd say so myself, and if it's coming from me saying it's spicy, you know that it's spicy.
Some heat.
So this is going to everyone that participated in the Straight Razor Challenge. So
Cool.
Steve Schwartzer, Tyler Hackbarth, Mike Poor, and Marcus Ranum, and also Albert from Seattle Edge Sharpening. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna send him one. And I had one other bottle, and interestingly enough, I posted about it the other day, and Jason Reddick said, "Hey, if you're coming to Pigeon Forge, bring some with you."
Oh.
I said, "We're not," but I said, "What's your address?" So I'm gonna send him a bottle
cool.
anyway because I like that dude. So those are gonna be going out this week,
Nice.
and I gotta say, I've never made mango habanero before, and I like it a lot. I understand why. I mean, I've had it on wings and things before, and it's always been good. Now I understand, like, it's different. It's still kind of got the citrusy, almost like the pineapple one that I make, but it's different, and it's got a nice taste to it. So that's that. And I've had other people request it since I posted about it, so I'm going to have to make another batch of the mango habanero.
And this time you'll wait for us to leave the house.
Oh,
He just got 2 answers.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't wait.
We were going
I had to
someplace,
make it.
and he just couldn't wait.
I had to make it right then while the kids were ready for their lunch, and so I napalmed the
Did you
kitchen.
have another experience where you napalmed stuff around here?
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't.
He opened the
it
windows
wasn't ghost
beforehand this
peppers.
time, so it was better.
It wasn't the ghost pepper napalm situation. This is habaneros. It's not nearly as bad with habaneros.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad.
Did you mess with? Was that when you had the last time you made hot sauce? Is that when you bombed it over here?
Oh yeah, it was really
Yeah,
bad. It was really bad. Oh, that's when I did it outside.
Yeah.
Okay, so for when I made the ghost, I made that one outside using Sean's turkey fryer grill, and I made this big batch in a giant thing, and it boiled over.
Yeah,
all over the grill. And I was like, oh no! And I'm like, I gotta hose it down. I was like, I turned it off and hosed it down, and it just did not. It wasn't a good batch after that. Like, I still have that batch. It tastes okay. Spice level isn't where it should be, and I ruined that one. I think it just didn't come out as good as I wanted it.
Did it end up like bombing some inside the house though? Like, did you have it like sitting in a pot?
I think I maybe brought it back inside and tried to cook more in the house, and it was bad. It was bad news. Like, yeah, it was eyes tearing up just being in the room. It was tough.
Moral of the story: like, just be careful when you make hot sauce.
Adequate ventilation is required. So that's it. That's our Tales from Infinite Forge
Yeah.
for this week. Next up, we have the Gram Scan. I don't remember what we said that we were going to talk about on the Gram Scan.
I don't know. Oh, so Theo Naz moved into a new studio recently.
That's right. In
and
Industry City, New
Yeah.
York.
Oh, cool.
And so it's much...
it looks awesome.
He had a good space before, and for a forge, it was nice, but this place is like a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's in this really nice area, and there's
He doesn't
like...
have his cabinet making buddies anymore.
No,
I
I
guess
don't think
not.
so. But you can look out the windows of his forge area, and they have like this whole green area in the center with trees and stuff. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And he did mention, he would like to have us come down once that new place was open. So maybe we should hit him up soon and go check out his new shop, and that would be fun.
When are we going to do that?
Soon does not have a date attached to it. It's just in general. Obviously, it's all also based on actual invitation from Theo if it goes through. So we will see. Maybe eventually. So yeah, there was that. I don't think there was anything.
Tiger Lily caught a fish.
Tiger Lily Knight caught a fish, and we were commenting on that. That was pretty cool. But otherwise, our Instagram page is just a nonstop feed of knives, and so it's kind of hard to pick sometimes.
Yeah.
You see some cool knives. We mentioned Theo because he had also posted a video of a sweet Damascus dagger he was working on, and it looked awesome. And so yeah, check out Theo Naz. That's where we're going with it. We like that
absolutely.
dude, and he was very kind to us when we first started and had us down to his shop, and check him out. He's a cool dude.
Do it.
And that's it. Do we have anything else? We didn't talk about a blade speak for this week. I don't really think we need to. We went over.
We did a lot today.
We did a lot. There was lots of wrap up going on here.
Yeah.
So, verdict on your beer? Can't beat
It's amazing.
That.
It's gone. It's empty.
Yours
There's
is empty
nothing
already.
left.
As he goes to pour it on
Yeah,
a table.
look. There's nothing there.
I'm still half full, but this is a good one. This is delicious. And the summer ales, it's kind of hard to go wrong with those, right?
I would agree with that statement.
Okay. Good.
There's a pause there. Were you?
I had to think. Let me be accurate in the things I say.
Do you like it?
I do, yes.
Okay.
He made a general statement. I had to think about all the summer ales I've had, and I've enjoyed every single
Oh
one
well,
of them.
I mean, yeah, that one's pretty good.
And that's the episode. Thank you for watching. This episode was brought to you by us because we don't have any sponsors. But if you want to sponsor us, give us a message, shoot us a little thing.
And then we'll do a full wrap up of your show.
Yeah, that too. Or pay us. Either way, that'd be fun.
Isn't that what sponsorship is?
Yes, money. Thanks for watching. Remember to follow us on Instagram or Facebook or subscribe to the YouTube channel. We don't do the Twitter. Fuck the Twitter. It's not a thing anymore. Twitter's a dumpster fire. Anyway, we move forward. That's the end of the episode. I think I said that already.
Yep.
And I guess that's it.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
We're back. See you next week.
We forgot to do the, and now a word from our sponsors for the Anchor sponsors.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Oh, can I say
It's a word here.
And now a word from our sponsors. Can't you pick it up and put it?
I could try.
Except he's not saying.
It's gonna be all of a sudden it's just YouTube.
Well, no, you don't need it for the pot. I mean,
For the
The
podcast.
video, it doesn't matter.
yeah.